Hello, everybody, and welcome to another My Music. I'm Graham, and this is Sicky.
Hello there.
Or maybe
Mick.
not. It could be Mick, it could be Sicky. We'll find out any minute now after this from the people at Analog Trash.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
I just thought I'd pull the board in a bit more. So, do people call you Sicky yet? As you know, when you go down the street and whatever, when you go in the park?
It varies. A lot of people call me Mick. Actually, where I used to work, where the guy who invented my nickname, all of those called me Sicky. That was a theatre in Wolverhampton. But 50-50 really.
50-50, yeah.
I don't mind either, but I can't stand. I'm not a mic. That's all I'll say. I'm not a mic.
You're not a mic as of yet.
No, Michael, but not a mic.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's funny, isn't it, with names? It's when people make up a name for you, and you've never announced that you're called that at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's like some people at certain points in my life started calling me G, and I'm like, I've never said you can do that.
It's just a bit weird, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I think people don't like to call people by their real name sometimes, so that's why they slip into this. That's what happened with me with Sicky, because I don't know whether I told you this before, but the producer that we were working with at the time in an old band of mine was calling me Mickey Boy because he's a bit cockney, and my Wolverhampton compadre, it was just doing his head in, so he turned Mickey into Sicky. That's as simple as it was, really.
Yeah,
so that's an example of that, bear.
Yeah, it's got absolutely no grounding in anything in particular. You weren't.
No, I wasn't a sick child. No, I used to work in a dark room, so I did look very pale for quite a few years. But yeah, nothing to do with the nickname.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, when you've got a nickname like that, it allows people to conjure up all sorts of stories about you, which aren't true, which is marvelous. I mean, it's great for the press. In fact, what you should do, sir, is you should actually produce a book at some point of like 101 reasons why I'm not called Sicky.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, food for thought.
Yeah, kind of a book of tall stories. Do you think that would be great?
Elements of truth, though. You've got to have elements of truth in there somewhere.
Keep
on guessing.
Each story could contain an element of truth.
Yeah.
I
think people would feel that.
Yeah. Talk to me about your new album.
Yeah. It's Troubled Delight. I thought it was about time I did something else after Garbage Town, and I didn't plan it, but all these songs started popping out as they seem to do. It often happens. I thought, I had one song idea, and I thought, this would be a nice single. I'll just maybe stick this out, and then one leads to another, and suddenly it becomes a project, And But the album lasts about half an hour tops. They're all really short and in your face. Dark pop again, really. Slightly more organic than the other one, the last one, I think, because we've got things like the wonderful Jen Bone on double bass on some of the songs, which really gives it a flavour. And so I think it's a slightly different sound to Garbage Town.
I think
less electric, more hitting percussions, lots of percussion nicked from the kids' music room and stuff. So it's got, I think that's the reason it sounds different. I think the songs are maybe a little bit more simple. I don't know. it's hard for me. I don't even listen to it because you're too close to it. But they are fun to play live. I've been doing one or two things, and
I can hear that.
It's cool.
And I'll tell you where I went with it. Right, this is where I went with it. I think there's a little bit of Violet Femmes in there.
I'll take your word for that. Not one I'm familiar with.
Okay,
I get this a lot.
I think there's a little bit of The Pale in there. Now, there's a really interesting band that hardly anybody's ever heard of, but if you go and check them out afterwards, you might see where that comes from. Right?
I will do.
And actually, because of some of the sense of humor, and maybe because of kind of the shortness of the songs and everything else as well, there's even a little bit of They Might Be Giants in there.
Well, I am familiar with those. I don't listen to a lot of music, but I am familiar with those guys. Again, I'll check those out as well. But well, that's interesting. This is an education.
So
cool.
That's where I.
Is this good?
Yeah, no, this is really good. This is really good. Yeah, because there's a kind of I think each of those bands, one of the things that they all kind of brought to the table as well was that there was kind of that kind of dark humor sort of thing.
Right.
There's a very much a humorous element which some people will miss because they're just not intelligent enough.
Got ya. Yeah.
But then other people will go, actually, yeah, that's really clever. That is. Do you know what I'm saying there?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't plan to write that way, but there is always a bit of a tongue-in-cheek darkness to a lot of it, really. A lot of it's true little happenings that have happened to me, and yeah. They know who they are.
Yeah, I was going to say. So, what was the first song of this collection of songs? Which started this journey?
I think it might have been "I'm Happy If You're Happy,"
right? Possibly.
Which is just such an obvious single. I thought, oh, that's just a quirky little pop song. Let's just stick it out. But yeah, I think it was probably that one, messing about actually with my other half's kids in the music room. It just evolved from there. They were whacking things in the background. I recorded it on my phone. I'd already got the little tune in there somewhere, and I thought, there's something in this. So yeah, I think it was that one. And then the other ones just came flowing out. I don't remember what's on there. Hang on.
So I love that.
Yeah.
So this first song, I mean, it sounds like it's almost like your Blue Peter song then.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's like here's one I made with the kids earlier.
Honestly.
But
yeah.
But tell me about that, because there's something beautiful about I've got 5 kids. So
wow.
Yeah, I know. But there's something beautiful about the sort of imagination of kids, especially around sort of things like music, etc. as well, isn't there? Because they just, you almost feel like you want to get into that kid-like state sometimes for making music, because they just make music for the sake of it.
Absolutely. I mean, they're not influenced by anything. So the chances are, I mean, these pair, they come out with original ideas all the time, and nobody's making them do it. They just do it because they love messing about. And there's instruments everywhere, and wherever they feel like hitting or playing, they do. And they're a little team, and they do little shows every now and then and have little ideas. And I mean, like totally no influence from anybody else or any music or whatever. It's just their world. You probably come out with more original stuff.
Do you think that's a bit sad in a way, that actually, like, you know, we all grow up and then we start thinking about this stuff too much and turn it into
well, I think this is, I'll try not to grow up. This is why I don't listen to a lot of music. I mean, I used to, because you used to absorb so much when you're young, but I just think it's for a songwriter of any kind to be too absorbed in everything that's going on, the latest thing. I think that's a bit dangerous, so I try not to just You rattle off a lot of names of bands that I'm just not aware of. So yeah, stay in a little Sicky bubble.
I'm going back quite a long way with some of those bands, though. So
okay,
do you know what I mean? So there's an element where, I think for all of us, there's probably periods of our life where we listen to more music than other periods of time. Having said that, I now listen to probably more music than I ever did, but I'm always conscious of time these days.
Yeah,
I think which is a real shame, really, because I'm certain that when I was younger, music listening seemed to be much more relaxing in a way. Right?
I would think with 5 kids, time might be an issue anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Where do you find the time?
Work, kids, it's quite hard, and especially because like everybody wants to listen to their own thing.
Yeah,
Wow. And it's not like I've never actually thought about that, but it's an interesting point which you've just made me think about, which is that when I was younger, to listen to music, you physically had to have hold of whatever machine you could put the record on or the tape in or whatever.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't your turn, you couldn't listen to music. But of course, these days, you go into a house and like someone's got this on their phone and that on their phone and this, and it's almost like competing noises.
Yeah.
So it's really.
You remind me actually of when I was a young'un, I had a little cassette player, and I used to listen on headphones every night to The Hounds of Love, Kate Bush, because it was just the production on these things, and that was my world. It's like over and over and over again.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, amazing.
I do think whether it was our age at the time or whatever, or whether it was just that time, but I just think that we literally did wear albums out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas, I don't see people doing that necessarily.
Well, perhaps, I don't know, perhaps they do. Perhaps they're just moving into different, circles to the guys that are still doing that. I talked to a young guy in the local pub, and he's, describe his chain buying guitars at the moment. He's learning to play. He's just so into music. And he's like, I think he's training to be a lawyer or something like that, but he's just a lovely guy. And he is, what is he, 18 or something like that, 19?
Right.
He's listening to music, learning how to play music. And he reminds me of myself when I was his age. So there are guys out there. Maybe we just don't get to bump into them. That's maybe the thing.
Cool. So much more sensible than when we were young. I mean, look, he's learned, become a lawyer, have the money.
He's getting there.
Have the money and then be able to make the music. We just wanted to make the music and then got into bands, dossed around a bit and had no bloody money.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Skint every week. I used to pay my uncle. I think it was £5 a week out of my a 25 quid a week wage to pay for this guitar that I bought, because I had a guitar nicked from a gig, which broke my heart. So I bought this Destroyer, this Ibanez Destroyer, because it just looked amazing. I thought, that's the one I want. And so he fronted the money up, and I had to, I don't know how many years it took me, but I paid him back. God bless him. So something about that age is that thirst for
absolutely
learning and playing, but you need certain equipment. Like this kid's, he's built his pedal board now and stuff like this. It's like, go on, son. It's just awesome. It's
totally fun, isn't it?
Rock and roll lawyer on the way.
We need that.
Yeah.
That could be a really great thing. Having made this collection of songs and now listening to it back, have you been surprised by any themes that you didn't think were there that you then thought, oh, there's a theme there that I didn't even realize was there when I started making it?
Wow. No, because they're all quite specific. things like The Hill are about a sponsored walk that nearly killed me and my other half. It's just the do one. I live in this place called Bridgnorth, and it's 22 miles of hell because it's uphill both ways. 11 miles that way. 11 miles. They changed the course on the way back. For the last 11 miles, it's still uphill. So that's
2 miles.
Yeah, it's all for charity. But
that's not a sponsored walk, is it?
It's killer.
Yeah.
The sadistic bugger who came up with the course. I'd like to meet him one day, or her. I don't know. But anyway, that's about that. Money for the News is a song that I don't really know what the hell that's about, but it just, lyrics just spurt out, and you try and make sense of it later on. But I'm still not sure about that. There's a rough idea about almost like this thirst for news, I suppose, and be careful what you wish for and stuff, because particularly at the moment, it's just horrendous, isn't it? Every time you turn the telly on. So,
well, you wonder whether it is news, don't you?
God knows, but
I mean, it's so surreal. Some of the things that you see that you actually wonder whether you've heard it correctly the first time.
Yeah.
Which is disturbing. Yeah, absolutely disturbing.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the way that it's refreshing to see. I don't want to upset any Americans, but there seems to be a good flood of satire, sort of like leveling out the nuts of the real president. There's this wonderful, people taking him off, and I'm glad that they get that it's just nuts, and they're saying so openly, and because I don't know, the world feels a bit more of a dangerous place, doesn't it, at the moment?
Yeah. But these figures feel less like political figures and more like, cartoons and a stroke, sort of actors at the moment.
It's bizarre.
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
And I think it'd be interesting actually, in like 10 years' time, if we're all here still. Which sobering thought, but I mean, if we are, etc., it'd be quite interesting to listen back to the music of the time to see whether it did reflect anything of that at all.
I think that's a good point, actually. I did say this to somebody the other day. I think that's one good thing that could come out of all this chaos is art and artists of all kinds, be it music or a painter or whatever. Do tend to get inspired and make statements, don't they, when you're driven, because this is just, you so disagree with it so much, you have to either put it down on a canvas or write about it, or so I think you're right. I think there will be a good flood of tasty stuff coming out off the back of this, I would have thought.
I think so.
And
I think also that we have music has had to change as well with all of this as well, because I do think that since the birth of the internet and since we know more as well, I think it's changed music drastically, because I think there was a time when there was a lot more romanticism and sort of almost naivety in music as well, because the people could dream their way out of a situation. But I think now we kind of really understand the gravity of a situation fully, and therefore I don't think we can produce stuff in that way unless.
Well, I think it's more earthy, isn't it now? Back in those days, it's so industry led, big corporate. Your average Joe couldn't release your own stuff back then anyway, so you were limited to seeing Duran Duran or these big corporate 80s videos and stuff, and they did take you to another place, and it did see like it was a bit of a dream world, wasn't the whole thing really? And you get the occasional sort of protest thing, but it's certainly the exception to the rule. But now I mean, there's some killer bands
that are really
kicking out some amazing noises at the moment. I couldn't even name half of them, but they're not scared to say exactly what they think, and because you can put it out there yourself, nobody's stopping them. You know, it's I think it's really healthy, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy aspect. We always had intelligent people in pop and whatever that, you know, that may made some statements. I've just booked to go and see Nick Kershaw, who was an absolute
Cool.
one of my heroes growing up. And you know, I remember like listening to his early albums, and he had a song about not killing whales, and Roses, which was about Roses, which was about the environment then. And I thought, this is intelligent.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, when everybody was talking about love and girls, and you know,
those early punk.
Her name is Rio and whatever. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. People like Elvis Costello, I used to love. He always had a real edge to him. That era was pretty cool, and a lot of the ska stuff, you know, the two-tone stuff, wasn't afraid to say, delve into certain areas that most of the industry wouldn't have thought. But yeah, we need them. Right stuff.
We do need those people from time to time, and it's really important.
It will be interesting, like say, if we're looking up and Trump hasn't blown the world up in 10 years, to see what does come out of this period. So
yeah,
I think it's pretty, and you probably won't have to wait that long because things are pretty instant, aren't they? People create and put them out now, whereas I think back in the day it'd take ages to have a project coming out, but you can get it out there pretty quick. So
yeah, are you enjoying that about the process of writing music these days?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, God, there's so many studio sessions in back in the day, demoing, and never saw the light of day. Even did an album with one band, a band called Sumo, and that never saw the light of day. That was like mid 2000s ish, which was a crying shame because it was a corker. But because even then, getting your stuff on Spotify wasn't available then. I'm not sure exactly when that all began, but I think I think it's brilliant. So, but anybody can do it, really.
Yeah, I think
it's so cool.
All began with MySpace, didn't it?
Back God,
yeah,
we've all probably got one of them. Still lying out there in the ether somewhere. Somebody's it got to be this. Oh God.
I'd love actually if people, you know, kind of did a retro thing and started bringing back all of these old things. I mean, it was like I was having a conversation the other day with someone about email addresses on another podcast, and someone said, "Oh, do you remember like all email addresses? We all at one point we all had these email addresses which were daft names."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just like your name, your business name, or because people didn't own domains like they do now, right? So people own domains now, and then you just have like your name at that domain or whatever. But back in the day, people had these daft things that like you know, I'm Melody One.
Yeah.
It's like you know, and businesses would look at it and go, really?
God, yeah.
I think we should bring it all back.
Oh, Christ,
it'd be great if I could
give us all something else to look at.
Yeah, I'll just log on to my MySpace. Yeah, imagine what your MySpace would look like now.
God,
with your album and all of those sort of things. But yeah, technology's been brilliant, hasn't it?
I love it. I mean, I've got a little website of my own. I can just add, if I get a review or something, I can just add to my reviews page and stuff like that. It's just click of a button and put the videos on there and stuff like that. And it's actually good fun, you know. And you try and make it look nice as possible. But so for young bands to be able to do that as well, it's just like ace, isn't it? Just more power to them.
Well, it's like doing this, you know. I mean, I could only dream as a boy. I mean, I ended
It's
up
good Star Trek, isn't it?
well, I ended up in radio, proper radio, where we were broadcasting out. But that at the time, that was it. If you wanted to get out there, you wanted a big audience, etc. You had to find your way into a radio station or a TV station, and make your way up and and get an audience. And it's like, well, now the choice of what you can listen to and what you can watch is just endless.
Countless amount of music podcasts and Spotify, what they call where's my brain gone? People putting together their own playlists and sticking them out there and adding people, and but it's a small world, isn't it? With this kind of thing, it's just brilliant, really.
It is quite a small world. It is a small world, and I'm quite enjoying that as well, because we've started a community and we're bringing people in together on that.
Nice.
Because I don't see there's any competition really. I think it's like I've even had some people on here who do other music podcasts to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's definitely a positive thing. Yeah.
Because from my perspective, it's like we're all trying to just do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely interested. The whole reason I started this in the first place is because I'm interested in human communication. So I'm interested in, why do people want to interview people as well?
Because people have normally got something to sell. There's product normally in there, but if it's, I do like these just chatting about the world and everything. It begins with the product probably, but it's all right to philosophize a bit, isn't it? It's
it's better.
Quite healthy.
It's entirely better. A lot of people say to me before they come on here, said, "Oh, so you're going to ask me some questions about my single or my album or whatever," and then when I'm touring and whatever, I said, "Well, if I get to it."
Exactly.
And they're like, hang on a minute, because some people obviously send me people from PR companies, and they're like, make sure you mention this, make sure you mention that. And it's
right.
Like, but do you know what? Ultimately, people buy into people. Nobody sells anything these days, do they?
If people see it and they can, you've only got to clock the name and then look into it yourselves. You don't have to, us talk scripted about this is happening this day and this is being released this day. It's just whatever.
You can look it up. You can look
exactly. It's all out there. Have a look at the website.
In fact, actually, that's what you want people to do, I think, is because if you, my gut feeling on all of this is, if you give people something, but then they have to make the effort, that actually means more.
I'll get you.
Do you agree?
Yeah. But totally sort of more committed to the cause. You feel, you definitely feel more a part of that.
Yeah. How do you over the years, when you've found music, you say you try not to listen to too much, but when you found music, have you found it? Has that been just like you've just caught hold of something, or somebody's told you, maybe like I just did earlier, here's something that it might, and you've just gone and investigated it?
Absolutely. These days it is more like that. So my other half, Helen, is a massive Idols fan who I didn't know a lot about. I was kind of aware of them, but and she taught me into going to see where the hell were we? Down south somewhere, can't remember, festival, and they were just brilliant. So I started listening to their albums and fell in love with a couple of songs. Grounds, oh my god, the guitar sound on that track alone, it's just, and the album's amazing.
It's inventive. So
really just breath of fresh air, and they continue to make great albums as well, and I've seen them countless times now, but it's only through that tip off. I wouldn't have found them or stumbled over them really particularly vague memories of them playing a small stage at Glastonbury or something. I can't remember. I'm thinking, oh yeah, tasty. But so I was invested then, having seen them at the Eden Project. That's where it was. Fantastic gig. And now I'm a fan. So it's one of the few things I will, actively search out whatever they're banging out stuff. And so yeah. People, the real music fans like that, I admire them really, because they're the ones who find out somehow they listen to so much music, and I used to do that, and I do miss that a bit, but
as you say, when you're making it, you've almost got to keep.
It's difficult. It is a bit of that, yeah. So I can listen to a bit now. I can relax and listen to some music again for a while. Yeah.
I think we all go through periods where we perhaps can generate a little bit more time or whatever, which is good. I think you can train yourself into listening in a different way as well. In the same way that I think, when I was younger, I trained myself into listening to stuff that was difficult.
Right.
Because when you're young, you've got a bit like. I'm going to write a paper on this one day. A bit like your taste buds, right, are quite sensitive to stuff that tastes different, and and your mum tries to feed you stuff, and you go, oh God, and then as you get older, you go, I love everything, and when does that change?
That's true,
right? Yeah. Well, and the thing is, your taste buds change, but they actually change slowly over time. And you become more accustomed to. But I tried to do that with my ears very early on. I tried to listen to stuff that was awkward for me to listen to. Yeah, because I thought there's real worth in doing this. And I think some people just stay at a lazy stage. They just go, oh, that's easy. So I'll just stay there. I
get inspired by productions and the new techniques and productions that you hear on stuff. It doesn't really matter about the genre to me. Some things just sound amazing, and if you hear it through the right system, it's like, how are they doing that? I've got very limited equipment here, do my best with what I've got, but man, some things
it's great when you
just jump out at you.
Things. It's great when you have got the ears to hear that stuff, though, right? I mean, I was talking to someone earlier. They said that their kids were going to the Lola Young concert tonight, which will be tremendous. And I started saying to him, oh well, now, because he was saying, oh, that song Messy, and I said, yeah, I know the song Messy and whatever. And I said, well, but you should really check out the guitar in that song, right?
Oh, right, there you go.
Right, I think it's really clever, and because what he's basically doing is looping feedback, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but check it out. It's really clever.
I will. I'll add it to the list.
that the control on that feedback is absolutely genius. And it's like, I think when you're in the sphere of making music, you become accustomed to hearing those sort of things.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So long may it continue. What was your favorite sound that you produced on this album?
Wow, I really like. Billy Cousins is the opening track, and I don't know if it's a specific sound. It's more of a groove, really, the way that kicks.
Yeah,
and it really is probably inspired by Prince's. Do you remember the Batman stuff and the Sexy MF and Get Off and all that? And it's got a bit of that about it. But those bloody grooves and his little hook lines that he just naturally does. But the production on that as well, it still sound fresh today. I love it. So there's a bit of that about that. I do like all the little. I'm a bit of a sucker for sound effects. So we've got things like the local church bells. We had a free visit up in the bell tower, and I recorded the bells going off while we were up there, and the mechanism coming into life.
Nice.
So that's one of the intros, and there's some sliding doors from a Stourbridge shopping centre on another one. I think that might be that's Money for the News, maybe. It's one of them. So little things like that, you know. I used to love The Wall. Pink Floyd had a lot of sound effects on that, and I think that's sort of rubbed off on me a bit. But yeah, there's a few daft things.
There you go. So there was plenty of field recordings on this then.
Just absolutely, yeah. And the one bit is an intro from Hammer Films in London. Very kindly gave me permission to use the bit from it's a film called Quatermass in the Pit, and the guy's just ranting in the film. I love the film. I love sci-fi basically, and I used that as an intro as well. The jumping, leaping, and that's My Girl's Gone, I think.
Oh, tremendous!
So yeah, little nuggets like that.
I've got to say to the audience as well. It was mentioned there, Prince Batman, which you know, got quite a lot of stick at the time, but actually is genius. If you probably all been and seen the video on YouTube of Prince doing his guitar solo with While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah,
everybody and their dog seen that.
Wow!
But if you haven't seen it, do check out Prince playing the bass line to the Batman theme, because that's really cool.
Yeah,
and he's just sat there in a chair like that.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
The dude's got funk, got oozing through his veins.
It's just
like, incredible.
Well, that'll do. What?
I don't know if you know the Love Sexy album, which I was lucky enough to see that tour in Birmingham, one of the big NEC or something like that. But that album I hated to start with, and after a couple of listens, it's like got under my skin, and it's just incredible. The programming, he programmed all the drums and plays most things anyway, I would have thought, but the programming on some of this stuff, and very innovative for the time, sort of 88 or something, that I'm guessing. Again, headphones and listen to this incredible bit of work, and people weren't getting it at the time initially. And he did throw a couple of bangers in there, which sort of promoted the album. But the whole album is, from start to finish, it's like a perfect album for me.
Yeah.
And I think when he released it, he didn't put any gaps in between the songs, so that people could just listen to it as one thing. And I think that's how it's supposed to be taken.
Yeah. He got
awesome.
Got some real stick for that at the time. That it's just literally.
Oh God.
You know,
fabulous.
I love that though. I mean, I think people should do more of that again. There is a thing coming back on Spotify, isn't there, that you can choose to listen to the album, or people can upload their album where you have to listen to it in one sitting, which is great. I think that could be really a great thing for the future. Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely.
Music again.
Fabulous.
It's always a lovely thing. We never know where it's going to go, which is great. You know, and people listening may be completely confused now, but hopefully less confused than they are.
I hope so.
State of the world.
Oh God,
because that's, you know, that really is chaotic.
Yeah,
for people who don't know where to find this, where do they find it?
I mean, I would simply just go to Sicky B for Butler.com, SickyB.com, and all the links and videos and reviews been lucky enough to get at the minute. It's all on there. So yeah.
Do that, folks.
See me doing daft things on videos and stuff. So
yeah, go and check it out. Go and listen to something that maybe you haven't ever listened to before, you know, or it's maybe a little bit more challenging for you than some of the stuff that you listen to, and you know, try and open up your mind a little bit, because that's what it's all about. And once you do it, you'll find it gets easier and easier, and you'll then challenge yourself even more, which is an amazing thing to try and achieve. Thank you for coming in today.
Awesome. Bless you, Graham.
And thank you, folks, for listening. This has been My Music with me, Graham, and Sicky, and we will be back soon with more of the same. But until then, do check out mymusicpodcast.com, where you can pick up on previous episodes of this, and you can also join the community that I talked about in this as well. If you want to talk music, technical stuff, non-technical stuff, and just jargon with other musicians, you can join us and do that in there. We'll be back soon. Bye for now.